Gunner Harris, the great escaper. I can safely say that he escaped from every prison camp behind enemy lines, and I think that he went the way he would have liked to go, trying to get out. Alas, his proud boast that no prison camp will ever hold me will not be fulfilled. And so, let us pay our last respects to a fellow soldier, a brave man, and above all, a man whose exploits are an inspiration to us all. On the road, I went into a pub the other day, having a drink. And I don't know, it's probably somebody caught me on it, came over and said, God, you look miserable. What is it? I said, well, I'm not really miserable. It's just that my wife is always asking for money. I mean, Monday she wants 10 quid, Tuesday she wants 10 quid, Wednesday she wants 10 quid, Thursday it goes up to 25, Friday it's 45, Saturday it's 50, Sunday it's back to 10 quid. And I said, what does she do with all that money? I said, I don't know, I never give her any. The other fellow in the Irish pub has a few drinks. Gets happy and he's singing a song. And the barman comes over and he says, there's no singing allowed in this pub. Stop it. He said, I'm sorry. There's a few more drinks. Starts to sing again. The barman comes over and he said, I told you there's no singing allowed in the pub. He said, I'm terribly sorry. I got carried away there. There's a couple more drinks. Starts to sing. And the barman comes over and he said, I told you, if you keep on singing, I'm going to throw you out. He said, you'll what? You'll what? He said, I'll pick you up and I'll throw you out. He says, come outside and tell me that. And the other fellow swallows a billiard ball. I don't know how, but he did. Runs to the doctor's, goes right through the waiting room, runs into the doctor and says, Doctor, I've swallowed a billiard ball. What am I going to do? He said, get to the end of the queue. Two little drunks walking down the road, and a lorry comes around the corner, full of turfs of grass, all cut out nice and square. And one of them, and he says, lorry with all those turfs of grass. If I ever make a lot of money, that's what I'm going to do. What are you going to do? He said, I'm going to take my lawn to be cut. You get the other fellow walking down the road with a little penguin on a piece of string. The policeman said, hey, where did you get a penguin? She said, well, down the road, and he was there. Little penguin, and it's all on his own in the house. He said, well, take him to the zoo. She said, oh. Off he goes. Next day, the policeman was there, coming around the corner. Is the drunk with the penguin? He said, I thought I told you to take that penguin to the zoo. She said, I did, and he liked it, and I'm taking him to the library now. You get a little fellow in a bar having a drink, and all of a sudden outside, Hell's Angels. 6 of them with the swastikas, the leather jackets, all like this. Yeah. And as they pass this little fellow who's having a drink, one of them takes the pint off him and pours it right over his head. Take that, darling, right over your head, eh? And another one gets his crisps and goes, smack him into his face. Another one gets a soda siphon and sticks it up his nose and he goes, the little fellow doesn't say a word. He just gets up and walks out of the pub. And they go up to the bar, the 6 lads, and say, 6 pints. Not much of a man, him, was he? The barman's pulling the pants. He's not much of a driver either. He's just run over your motorbike. You may remember during the last show. That is, if you saw the last show. If you didn't see the last show, you won't know what the hell I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that during the last show, I was talking... How was I talking about? What's I talking about? I'm sorry, I can't remember. But what I'll do, I'll try and remember what I was talking about. And while I'm thinking about it, I'll show you some sketches. And I'll get a glass of booze at the same time because my glass is empty. That's what I was trying to remember. Ah!
I'm sorry, sir. We're a mirror.
Yes, I think that's looking quite splendid. Now, the jacket, please, Wilkins. Very good.
Oh, yes.
Yes, not a bad fit. Very good.
Okay.
Hurry up, please, Wilkins.
Yeah.
And now the cap. I think that should provide the finishing touch.
Thank you.
Yes, there we are. Well, now, sir, what do you think of that?
Oh, very nice. Yes, very nice. But have you got something a little less military?
And so, my lad, it appears that the entire case against my client rests solely on what happened to this watch, because it is evident that whosoever stole this watch is guilty of the crime of which this poor, blameless individual stands accused today. Let us examine the facts. Fact 1. My client was taken to the police station immediately after his car had been stopped by Constable Perkins. Fact 2. 2. On arrival at the police station, my client was thoroughly searched and his clothes examined in detail. He was not in possession of the watch. Fact 3. My client's car was similarly searched. Again, no watch was found. And now it is suggested that this watch, a watch for which the police were searching for 5 weeks after the crime had been committed, that this watch was then found in my client's flat. Well, I ask you to consider how such a thing is possible.
Mr. Robinson, will you get to the point?
But my point is this, my lad. How could my client have stolen this watch and escaped detection?
But I told you, Mr. Robinson, I swallowed it.
I love barristers. They're better than actors any day. There's a little fellow in court in Ireland. They put the Bible on his son. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? He said, do. And the judge says, you do understand now what you have said, you will tell the truth? Because if you tell lies, it is known as perjury. And you know that if you commit perjury in this court, you are liable to be sentenced to 2 years in jail. Now, you are going to tell the truth, aren't you? He said, no, sir, I'm going to commit perjury. He said, in that case, I will have to send you to jail for 2 years. He said, aye, yes, sir, but if I told the truth, you'd send me there for 10. One of the most amazing things, actually, about the world today, the modern world in which we live in, is that we are still superstitious in what one might call forms of luck, especially in the theatre. In the theatre, we are very superstitious. For example, when I'm coming on stage, or when any professional artist is going on stage, his fellow artists walk up and say, break a leg. And some of them mean it. And it's very unlucky to whistle in a dressing room. If you whistle in a dressing room, you must leave the dressing room immediately, turn around 3 times and spit, and that gets rid of your bad luck. Mind, it's very unlucky for anybody else who wants to do that. And there is one great theatrical superstition, and that is never to mention the name of one particular play. It's very unlucky to mention this name of this very, very famous play. And I'd like to tell you what play it is, but I can't mention it. And rabbit's foots. People carry about rabbit's foots. And I was looking up the superstition behind rabbit's foot, and I discovered that for a rabbit's foot to be truly lucky, it must be cut off, the rabbit, in a graveyard, on the night of a full moon, by a red-headed person who also has to be cockeyed. Can you imagine a red-headed fella in a grave sitting there? Which of the 8 legs would you like? So one of the most famous is crossing your fingers for luck. Cross your fingers. I'm not very lucky. Personally, I don't really believe in luck. I believe that luck is being in the right place at the right time. Touch wood. Bit of wood, quick.
Doctor, I have a problem. It's very embarrassing, and I don't really know how to tell you, but I think I'm a nymphomaniac.
Pardon?
A nymphomaniac. What should I do?
Lie on the couch. No calls for 2 hours. Wherever this arrow lands, there let me lie.
Take him out. Gently.
Got him. Right, wait. No, somewhere over here, I think. Hey, lads, look at that! Oh, lucky old Robin!
Right, lads. Right, lads, I'll let him rest in peace.
You have been found guilty. Do you have anything to say before I pass sentence?
Yes, my lord.
Yes.
Yes.
You mean yes?
Yes.
Case dismissed.
Do you speak English?
Yeah?
Kindly point that thing the other way. I can hardly believe it. My first day on the beach, and I meet you.
I know exactly what you mean.
I never believed I'd meet someone like you. Someone that I have so much in common with.
It's almost as though we were made for each other.
Before we shoot you, pig, you're allowed one last request. Do you have such a request?
See,
What is it?
if I am going to die, I would like to give the order to the firing squad.
Okay, go ahead.
Aim fire.
Louder, they cannot hear you.
Aim fire.
Much louder, they cannot hear you.
Aim fire.
No, get out of the way, you fool. I will show you how to do this. You take a deep breath, like this. And then you project the voice, like this. Take aim. Fire!
Do you have any idea why God made Adam before he made Eve? He couldn't stand the thought of her leaning over his shoulder telling him what to do. Put that there, God. Move that over there. And do that. And I'll have one of those. That's nice. I'll have 2 of those. And have you ever seen 3 women in conversation? They will talk and talk and talk for hours. They are loath to break it up. And you know why? Because if one of them moves, she's terrified the other 2 are going to talk about her. Women can be to each other and about each other so catty. And a woman talking to another one, she said, a neighbor of mine was raped quite recently. Did it affect her badly? Not at all. I don't think she was aware of it until the check bounced. They say it's a man's world. Rubbish. It's a woman's world. You've got it sewn right up. It has to be a woman. Oh, they're all getting gritty out there. You're not telling me it was a man who invented the word prerogative. It's a woman's word. You don't ever hear the expression, it is a man's prerogative. Never. It's a woman's prerogative. It's a woman's prerogative to be late. It's a woman's prerogative to change her mind. It's a woman's prerogative to have her bags carried. It's a woman's prerogative to drink all night and pay for none of it. It's a woman's prerogative to sit while we poor fools have got to bloody stand up. It's a woman's prerogative to wear white at her wedding, whether she is or whether she isn't. It's a woman's prerogative to have the last word. It is also a woman's prerogative to lie in bed at night and say, not tonight, I have a headache. To which he replies, I'm not interested in your head. That's all the fellas. There's no women out there doing that. And the most amazing thing about women, the more you give them, the more they want. You give them an inch and they want a foot. No. What I meant to say is that you give them an inch and they'll take a yard. No, take a word. No, forget it. But I will be basically, the one thing, and I do understand it, it is much more difficult for a woman to be virtuous than it is for a man. Because for a man to be virtuous, all the man has got to do is to curb his own sexual desires. For a woman to be virtuous, she not only has to curb her own sexual desires, but his as well. Mind you, sometimes it can work the other way.
No, we can't.
Can.
Yes, we can.
No, we can't.
Yes, we can.
No, we can't.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
We can't.
Yes, we can.
We can't.
Of course we can. Of course we can.
We can't.
No, we can't. No, we can't.
Yes, we can.
No, we can't. No, we can't.
Yes, we can.
No, we can't.
Come back.
No, we can't.
Yes, we can.
No, we can't.
Yes, we can.
No,
Yes, we can.
no, I can't.
All make-believe. It is. Tonight, just for a change, just to prove that it is possible, I'm going to sit here smoke a cigarette, drink a few drinks, and not talk about religion. Truly. No, just to prove that it can be done. I'm not going to talk about religion at all. Talking about religion. Did you know, actually, the fact, there was a religion called the Shakers? And their main belief was that they did not believe in sex because they thought sex was ungodly and offended God. So, therefore, they had no sex at all. They were completely celibate. It started in 1758 and finished in 1826. The ones I like, my favorite religious sect, are those holy rollers that you get down in the southern states of America. All that. And the Lord is coming down indeed, hallelujah, and we're going to pray the prayer. I love all that. You get one of those little black fellows who goes to Belfast. And he happens to walk into a church where Paisley is giving a sermon, and Paisley is up there. And the day of judgment will arrive, and all the bodies will erupt from the earth and go up to heaven. And God and St. Peter, they'll have the big book. They'll have the big book, and if your name is not on that big book, you will be cast down into everlasting flame. But if your name is in the good book, St. Peter will open them gates to you, and the God will take you to his bosom. And the little coloured fellow's carried away with all this. And he stands up and he says, hallelujah, praise the Lord. And Paisley looks at him and he said, we'll have none of that in here. You hear about the Jewish drummer who was so good at the rhythm method they made him an honorary Catholic? I'm sorry, I talked about religion. I didn't mean to. I got carried away. But I'm not going to show you any religious sketches. Sorry, I'm not. What? Yes, I am going to show you some religious sketches. I didn't know you were Scottish. Finally, I am sorry to have to announce a very poor response to the Organ Restoration Fund. We will now sing hymn 573. What's going on up there? You little devils. I christen you John Arthur Richard. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Who's the mother? Do you, Mary Ellen, take John Richard Higgins as your lawfully wedded husband? Sulky, wasn't he? No, when I was a boy, Sunday in Ireland was a great joy to me because it was the day that I would go to the cinema in the afternoon. It would start off when I would go to Mass on Sunday morning, and I would pray to God that there would be peace all over the world, and I would pray to God to look after the poor, and I would pray to God to look after all the starving people. And then I'd go home and I'd have a big feed. And then I'd go to the cinema and watch all the cowboys kill all the Indians. And cheer. And whatever was on at our local cinema, you didn't have to know what was on. All you had to do was to watch the kids come out after the matinee. Because what was on, we were. If it was the Mark of Zorro, we all come out with swords and little Zs on our foreheads. If it was a cowboy, we came out with fully loaded 6 fingers. I had a sawn-off shotgun. And it was Frankenstein. I'll have to stand up for this. It's Frankenstein. All the kids used to come out like this. And we were never actually sure whether they were doing an impersonation of Frankenstein or they were being frightened by the picture. The fella I hated, Roy Rogers. What a big puff. He would go into a saloon. He would have a fist fight with 10 of the biggest fellas in the world. They'd fight all around the saloon, out of the saloon, down the street, through the stables, back up the street, back into the saloon. And he'd lay out all these 10 fellas. And he wouldn't have a mark on them. And he'd still have his stinking hat on. Me run up to Roy Rogers and say, "Roy, the town is burning down. The bandits are raided the bank. The Indians are on the warpath. All the cattle have got foot and mouth." What did he do? The silly bastard climb on his horse and sing a song. And Hopalong Cassidy was another one of that. The only thing we liked about him, he didn't have anything to do with women. We used to call him Hopalong Chastity. And one of my greatest disappointments was not being able to see the Invisible Man. Not being able to see the Invisible Man. Dracula was my... I used to love to go and see Dracula. But I always took my rosary beads with me. And then coming home, I'd think to myself, if Dracula comes to get me, at least I've got the crucifix, I can hold it up. And I was going home one night across the fields, and there was a terrible breathing. Coming closer out of the dark. And my little rosy beads and the crucifix, and I go, "Back, Dracula, back!" I'll go back, Dracula! I was talking to the only Jewish cow in Ireland. But I feel sorry for the kids today. Because when the kids go to the cinema today, they see things like The Planet of the Apes, James Bond, Doctor Who and the Daleks. We had things like Flash Gordon, King Kong, The Electric Man, Frankenstein, Dracula, The Curse of the Mummy. All the realism's gone out of it all now. Anyhow, if I may, I would like to pay a small tribute to Hollywood and to the cinema of my childhood. A walk down memory lane. What a difference.
When you want a bedpan, ring the bell.
Igor, the storm is at its height. I need as much electricity as possible to bring life to my creation. At least 500,000 volts.
Yes, master.
300, 400, 500,000. Splendid! And now to bring life to my creation. Right, Igor, disconnect. See, he moves. Sit. Up. See, Igor, he sits. Come
My creation! Stand! He stands! Walk! Halt! Igor, place your right hand upon my head and your left hand on Igor's head.
Marshal, the Montana gang are back in town. They just shot the storekeeper.
Yeah?
Then they blew up the church.
Yeah?
And then they burnt down your house, and they raped your wife and shot your whores.
Yeah?
And now they say they're gonna come over here and hang you by the neck.
Yeah?
Well,
What?
what are you gonna do about it?
I don't know! Dawn! I must return to my tomb before the sunrise. The devil help me! I could be too late! My tomb! I am finished! Very difficult to talk with those teeth in. They go, look like Ken Dodd. It is occasionally that one comes across a story or a gag that you'd like to tell. A story about a very sophisticated young couple walking down Bond Street, and they go past a jeweler shop. And in the window is the most exquisite diamond ring. And she said, darling, what a lovely ring. It would look so lovely on me. Do you really want it, my dear? Said, I'd love it. Certainly. Puts his hand into a coat, takes a brick out and goes, smashes the window, leans in, picks out the ring and gives it. And off they stroll. 2 minutes later they go past a furrier's, and there is the most beautiful coat in the window. She said, darling, don't you think that fur coat would look very nice with my diamond ring? He said, really, do you really want it? Yes, please. Puts his hand in, digs out another brick. Bang! Right through the window. Picks up the fur coat, puts it on, and off they stroll. And then they come to a car sales, which in the window is the most beautiful white Rolls Royce I've ever seen. She looks at me. Darling, don't you think we look so beautiful, Buck? In the back seat of that Rolls Royce, with me with my diamond ring, our cat. Darling, do you think I'm made of bricks? I think it's nearly time to go. Nearly time to say goodnight. But, as they say in Scotland, you'll have one afore you go.
I'm sorry, my darling, but much as I love you, we must part. It's just too big. Well, I can't stand it anymore. It's far too big. But too obtrusive. It gets in the way. But it's always sticking out. It's an embarrassment to walk beside you. I'm sorry, my darling. Au revoir, mon chéri.
What bad minds you have. All I can say is that if you have a God, may he go with you. Good night. Thank you.